Hey, welcome to the Art of Relationship show. Hopefully everybody's doing okay and everybody is doing great. So hit me up. Hopefully everybody's okay. And there might be a technical difficulty with Instagram. So if people can get the word out listening on other platforms, hopefully everybody's doing okay. I am tired. I am going a little bit crazy. So welcome to the Art of Relationship show. Excuse me. Allergies kicking like I think a lot of people are around, or at least in Michigan, Midwest anyways. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. And let me know if the audio is kicking up, if it's going smooth or not. I'd love to be able to make sure everything's okay and kick it off very well. So this is your opportunity to be able to ask your questions on any situation that you might be challenged with dealing with regarding marriage, relationships, dating, or sex, okay? Or maybe you're looking at getting healing from a divorce, healing from a breakup, and excuse me, you're thinking about getting back out there, okay? As always, you can join in the live chat down below, people. I'm actually doing the show from my office. If you can see right behind me in the background, it is my office, okay? That's where I see clients. I usually do the show from home. However, I ran over, which is common, with a new couple, which I'm always flattered to work with. So hopefully everybody's doing okay and everybody can hear me just fine. And as we kick up, as we get the viewership going, let you know that this does not replace actual psychotherapy, professional counseling, marriage, couple, sex therapy that I do in my office, like right behind me, because of confidentiality aspects. I do my best if people have questions, unless they give me permission to use their name, to give you permission to be able to hit you up with confidentiality, HIPAA guidelines. I can't. So that's not protected, just to let you know that that's why this does not replace actual psychotherapy, counseling that I do in my office or telehealth. So that's the issue. So going to be talking about tonight, and then you can jump in with your questions and everything else. And I'm hoping people start joining in pretty soon. People start joining in with their questions and everything else. And a lot of people will look at, what are common issues with relationships? Is it sex? Is it about finances, parenting, quality time together, not feeling important? And it's a wider range of those situations. And a lot of people look at the most common issue is communication. I look at, is it communication or is it how you communicate? Okay. And going back to on a few other situations, I'd like to have you recognize, sorry about the coughing and everybody, people. So I want to look at, we talked about before, a couple of weeks ago, your partner has your back, right? And what does that mean? What does that entail to both of you out there, and to be able to look at what is happening in your relationship? So please share this on your timeline or your page, wherever you're listening or paying attention to. I want to try to have as many people going as possible with questions, with answers. Hey, Ehab, I appreciate you tuning in. I'm trying to look at, how many people are listening, are trying to pile in as people are joining up. And it usually takes a few minutes to kick off and everything else. So if you want to talk about sex, hit me up. Ask me those questions. Dating, relationship, those type of situations. And I'm hoping other people will be popping in. But looking at, not only that, I look at what type of intimacy do people want? What does it look like? And not only that, but the comfort level about even being able to talk about it, which a lot of people have a hard time. Some people are avoidant, right? They avoid any type of discomfort that they'll run, they'll hide, they'll shut it down. But also, what people don't realize, some people will avoid anything by causing an argument because they'd rather argue about something that might not relate to that discussion because it's so difficult for them to have. It's uncomfortable. They might be insecure. They might feel judged or bashed. I don't want that in your relationship. Not at all. Okay. Excuse me. So that's where I want people to be able to understand and hit up what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and what would make you feel more comfortable growing, evolving in a relationship in what is happening for you. Okay. So that's where I want people to understand what is happening and what works for you, what would break that discomfort in talking about anything and everything, right? And I'm honest. I tell people, you heard other episodes, whatever, talking about, no matter if it hurts your feelings, pisses you off, gets you angry, brings up insecurities. Okay. So that's where I want people to understand, what can I do to handle that? What can I do to make it more comfortable for me to talk about anything and everything? It could be finances. It could be sex, parenting, that type of stuff. Maybe in-laws, outlaws, friends, those type of things, boundaries, relationships. What about cleaning, cleaning, household chores, that type of situations. And a lot of people don't want to cause a fight, so they might just give in. One of those situations, yes, dear, yes, dear. And this is for any gender. It's not a right or wrong situation, right? It's for any gender to be able to look at, why am I doing that? And then 10 years, 20 years later, they blow up and they get angry and maybe irate, and their partner is like, what's going on? Oh my God, I can't believe you're this stuff, because you've been holding stuff in and you're not sticking up for yourself. So, self-love and self-respect doesn't mean that you are selfish. Not at all. That doesn't mean you're not taking your partner into consideration. No, not at all. Okay. So again, remember, share on your page, or maybe down below, wherever you're watching, viewing it. Share the page on your timeline. I'd like to get as many people out there as possible, and to be able to look at, what are the most topics that are going around now, right? And it's looking at maybe social media, everybody talks about, right? Looking at, what do you do? What are the rules? What's going on in relationships? Okay. What is going on and how does it affect you? Are you making each other a priority? Are you making each other a situation? And I'm trying to figure out, I'm hoping, I want to make sure, things are going smooth on TikTok, and I hope everybody or people can, listen and watch and what's going on as viewership is pouring in and everything. And I know, with this time of year, I wish we had different choices, but politics, what happens if you disagree on politics? Does that mean your relationship is going to end? Is it going to reach its demise? I hope not. Okay. And I really hope not. And that's where I want people to understand and what is happening, to be able to talk about it, have a, hey, why do you think this? Why do you think that? Those type of questions, and it's not a deal breaker, right? So you look at those situations, what is affecting you, what happens, and not only that, how, another tough topic, right? How important is intimacy, is sexual compatibility and chemistry to you in a relationship? And again, this is not a right or wrong. There's some people, I asked on Facebook yesterday, I think it was, or on social media, actually all over the place, is sexual chemistry and compatibility, is it underrated? Is it overrated? What are your thoughts about that situation, right? To me, I think for a lot of people, it's underrated. And I'd love to hear your take on it and what's happening and to be able to, what's happening. I'm wondering what is going on with the connection on TikTok. So if people are watching on TikTok, joining in, hit me up. Let me know, okay? So that's where I want to make sure everything technically is, working okay, technology okay. So going after the situation is what happens with you when there is maybe a lack of sexual chemistry, sexual compatibility. And I know certain, TikTok maybe flags me for certain words, right? Like SCX. How important is that to you in a relationship, right? Not only how important is that to you in intimacy and all those aspects, how many people are looking at what that even means to you? What, compatibility, being intimate sexually and all that aspect is to you. And this is one thing that a lot of people, and I talked about at the beginning, might have a hard time talking about with with those questions. What is going on? What is happening in those elements that are causing you to have problems, right? What is actually going on? And can you talk about them and talk about those situations and those issues? Again, not a right or wrong. Some people can't even talk about the subject matter. They get insecure, they get squeamish, and they talk about, sexual maturity tied in with emotional maturity type of situation. Can you talk about, what does chemistry even look like to you? And do you feel that sexual compatibility and chemistry, is it overrated, underrated to you, or is it about where it should be in your own relationship and marriage? And a lot of people, I'm going to get some slack, but a lot of religious zealots out there and maybe people that have low desire will say it's definitely overrated. It's not important. It's whatever. That doesn't mean it has to be important to everybody. No, but this is part of the chemistry, the compatibility. If it's not important to one partner, they need maybe to be with somebody that also has the same type or close to the same values, because it looks like if one person is, open intimately, sexually, and the other one is able, maybe they're more subdued, they could care less about it. That's going to create a problem in most relationships. And I usually tell people what's going to happen is the relationship is going to feel dead, going to feel disconnected, or one of you, both of you are going to be miserable, or one that might be low desire and they're expecting their partner to be okay with that because sex isn't everything, right? It is looking at what's going to happen. They might be happy, but they don't care if their partner is miserable. They're not happy as long as everything's status quo, but we're still going to stay together. And a lot of people talk about we're going to have an intact family no matter what, right? An intact family doesn't mean it's healthy, doesn't mean it's happy, not at all, because people stay together. So going after, what is your view on chemistry? What is your view on compatibility when it comes into this area, people? And that's where I want you to look at, are you able to have those discussions and talk about it? Are you able to even, bring it up? Are you able to even talk about these aspects? Or is it a little bit squeamish for you? Okay. So that's where I want people to be at, to find that comfort, find that peace, and to be able to talk about what is happening, what is going on in those situations. Okay. As I'm trying to check messages and everything else. So I don't know if TikTok has me blocked, if it's actually going live. So if people are on TikTok and you're paying attention, hit me up. Let me know if everything technically is okay. Ehab, I know you're there. So that's what I'm trying to look at. Because usually TikTok is blowing up. So that's where I want people to join in. What does, compatibility, what is the importance of intimacy in your relationship, in your marriage, that type of situation. And this is one reason I never promote abstinence. I never promote waiting until somebody gets married from a professional perspective. Like I tell people, I am all about respecting people's beliefs, values, absolutely. But the reason I don't promote it professionally is because if you get married, what happens if you're not compatible sexually? Then what happens? Or you have some people, right? Well, that shouldn't matter. It's not the most important thing. But I tell people, what is the difference between being roommates, being just friends, and having a romantic interest? Those things are sex, physical touch, intimacy. Those things are the difference. It's the chemistry, right? So when you look at those situations, what is happening, what is going on in your relationship and in your life, and what is going on. And let me try to touch something out and restart it. I don't know if it is kicking up. I'm sorry, people. So that's where I want people to be able to hit up and let me hit down. There we go. I want to make sure TikTok is working as I adjust so I can see things. There we go. How important is that to you? And again, it's not a right or wrong. And I talk about compatibility and other aspects and other facets as well. But again, it's about having these conversations. A lot of people will call me with we have an issue with communicating. And I'm going to ask, is it communicating what? You don't understand each other. You don't want to hear each other. Or it turns into an argument, a fight because you don't feel heard. Or is it you have a difficulty talking about certain topics, subject matters, right? Maybe moving out of state, maybe finances, maybe it is intimacy, because it's tough, it's uncomfortable. It might not be, it might not only be uncomfortable for one of you, but it's uncomfortable for both of you, whatever that subject matter is, okay? But that's where I want people to get to a point, even personally, if you look at it from an individual perspective, I want you to be able to look at what would take me to feel and to become more comfortable talking about anything with my partner. Okay. And again, people are going to say, it's my partner. They get defensive. They can't talk. They shut down. Feels like I'm talking to a wall. I get all that, but can you still work on you? And I would love your partner to be able to work on themselves, right? What would it take for them to be more comfortable talking, opening up, being more open and vulnerable, and having those tough discussions without it going to an argument, a fight, a tit for tat battle, people? I don't want that. Of course not. And I'm looking at those elements to be able to talk about, you know what? We can sit down. We can talk about sex. We can talk about what pleases us. Maybe we want toys. Maybe we don't want toys. Maybe we want to try different things. Everybody talks about one person is vanilla and the other person is more wild, more out there, maybe more in the kink, more in the S&M. And those are the conversations I want people to be able to have. What does that mean? That doesn't mean you have to like it, agree, whatever, but at least you can talk about it to expand. And it's very, very difficult if you talk to your partner and it's like talking to a wall. There's no feedback. They're like, you don't even know if they're listening, or that type of situation, right? It's looking at, are we even able to have a conversation? I know I can't. So I'm looking at, if you are the one that your partner, they can't talk to you about that because it's uncomfortable for you, what does it take for you to be able to slow that exhale and to be able to breathe a little bit? And you know what? I want to work on this. I know it's uncomfortable. I get it. Again, I tell people, I don't judge. I don't bash, not at all. I look at what's it take to be able to get to a situation, to be able to look at, what is happening, what is going on, where I can become more comfortable talking about certain things. And like I mentioned earlier, sometimes, we could be talking comfortably, whatever, but our partner doesn't make it that comfortable. They're going to blow up. They're going to yell, oh, here we go. You want to talk about this again? Shut down, right? Because it's so uncomfortable to them. Or they don't say anything. Hey, what would you like? What would you like? I don't know. Yeah. And there's just, again, it's like tug of war, pulling teeth, trying to get your partner to open up and talk. And this is where you look at about compatibility in certain issues. And now is at the emotional, mental compatibility that you can't have a conversation about certain subjects, certain topics, because you both or one of you get defensive or walk on eggshells. And that's where I want people to be able to look at and stop that and be able to understand what is happening to improve and evolve, that you can talk about anything and everything, okay? And going back to sexual compatibility and sexual chemistry, this is one subject that I'd be able to look at, what is happening, what is going on in those situations. Hey, Ehab, just want to make sure TikTok is operating okay. For some reason, it doesn't seem like it is. So just waiting on followers and everything else. And I know, talking about those aspects, and some people are uncomfortable because of religious beliefs, right? Cultural beliefs, maybe how they're raised, or they're afraid of, good girls, good boys, good men, good women don't talk about that. They don't view their woman, their husband, their wife, whatever, as a, sexual being. I can't because that's disrespectful. Hell no, maybe they want to be seen that way, right? And maybe you want to, and your partner wants to, but you're both afraid to talk about it together. You get me? Because you're thinking, oh, they think it's taboo. They think it's taboo, but you both want to have those conversations, but nobody is attempting it. Nobody is taking that risk to even, hey, you know what? I know it's uncomfortable. Can we talk about sex? What I like, what you like. I know it's uncomfortable. And also the other one, oh my God, I've been wanting to. I'm thinking it's uncomfortable, and there's a lot of assumptions, and a lot of people, a couple clients, couples earlier today, it tend to be the word of the day in my office, assumptions, right? A lot of people, and it's sad, they assume one thing that might not be true, but then they react based on that assumption. They get mad, they shut down, they avoid, or they get defensive based on an assumption that their partner was not thinking, was not feeling, was not even behaving in a certain way. Because they assume, but they don't ask. Hey, are you feeling this way? Hey, it seems like you're thinking this, or it seems like you're upset and mad. And all of a sudden you think that, and then you're already getting defensive because you're assuming they're mad, and they're not. Or maybe they're mad, but it's not on you. Okay. So those are the situations, that a lot of people talk about. And how do you break assumptions? You ask, right? You make sure, and it's okay if we're wrong. But it tends to be the theme of today, right? About a lot of assumptions. I'm assuming, like I said, I'm assuming my partner can't talk about sex and I want to. The other one's thinking the same way, but again, taking that risk. It only takes one of you to be able to, just like I said, slow that exhale, self-soothe, and say, hey, I'd like us to have a better sex life. And they're afraid the other partner's going to get hurt, pissed off, get defensive. They might, right? But that's what I challenge you out there. What causes you to get defensive? I think I know. Insecurities, fear, being judged, thinking we're not good enough, all those insecurities, right? To be able to say, you know what, this is awkward for me, but I want to get better at it. That would be awesome. That's where I want people to be able to go after and to be able to look at those situations, to be able to look at, you know what, talking about sex, talking about compatibility, talking about chemistry, passion, romance. What does that mean on those levels, emotionally, mentally, and of course, the physical elements of those things? You know, what excites you? What do you want to try? What do you think is working? What do you think is not working? And, you know, sometimes a lot of people are afraid, they don't even talk about, because it can be painful, sex, right? And I'm actually giving a talk or a conversation, I'd rather like to say, to a fibromyalgia group on, you know, relationships and chronic pain and those symptoms. And some people, you know, they don't want to hurt their other one's feelings, but they're saying, we'll say women, they're afraid to bring up that sex is painful to them, but they don't want to hurt their partner's feelings or make them feel a certain way. And I don't want it to be painful, so they won't bring it up. Or their partner will, what do you mean? What do you mean? They'll get defensive instead of showing compassion and care and trying to understand and go after it like a teammate, right? To work together at those situations and to be understanding and be compassionate. And this goes with even talking about sex, right? A lot of people, oh, you're stupid. You're not an adult. You're a kid. You don't even talk. Don't shame. Don't bash your partner. Use compassion. Use understanding. And hey, what can I do to make it more comfortable? What can we try? Can we talk about, you know, sex, maybe one thing? What is it to you? What does it mean to you? Okay. So that's where I want people to be able to look at, you know, what is happening and what is going on in those scenarios, in those situations. Okay. So I'm going to say good night. It's been a long day. I usually like going at least an hour, but my voice is shot. So look at that. What scares you? What would make it easier to talk about sex and intimacy in your relationship? And to jazz it up, what would you like to try? What doesn't work for you? And, you know, maybe your partner's listening. Have your partner watch this video and you can follow it, check it out. Like I said, YouTube at LoveGuruGreg, Facebook, TikTok, if it's working today, Instagram, all over, at LoveGuruGreg, and my email, my website up above in the profile is theartofrelationships.org is my website. So everybody, peace and love, be safe out there, and everybody keep spreading peace and love to everybody out there. Bye-bye.